Hey, how we doing? Oh shit. Hey, how we doing out there, guys? So what you're about to see is my very first attempt at a podcast. So with that said, there are lots of kinks and hiccups that I have to work out for the next time, and I will, because I've always wanted to have my own show, like ever since I was a kid. And I recently realized that a podcast is like the least amount of effort and work that I could put forth to have my own show. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, there's lots of little wrinkles in the production, but I'm working on it. And I knew that there would be hiccups and stuff. So I wanted to have my first attempt at a podcast with one of my very best friends, and that is Mr. Chris Griffith. He is a maestro at guitar. He is a savant at music and, putting together videos, websites, all kinds of creative stuff. Not that we talk about making websites. Why did I say that? But he has been my partner in crime for numerous creative projects, whether it be the several bands we were in together or the music festivals that we threw ourselves when we were barely out of high school. So yeah, he's kind of a fellow rebel soul, as it were. We've always connected on some kind of rebellious yet creative vibe. I'm so cool. But yeah, he's my guest today. I wanted him to play music during this, which he did. But one of the hiccups that we had was the audio of him playing actually kind of got messed up because he was just going through his laptop mic, which was fine when he was talking, but then when he was playing music, his guitar and him, singing was too much volume for his mic to handle. So it kind of ended up sounding kind of weird. So what I did instead was when he went to go perform, I cut to one of his videos, which is kind of cool because I like the way he put together his music videos. He played all the instruments and he got it together in a way where you can see him playing those multiple instruments. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's what we're doing here. We talk a little bit about music and creativity, but because of current circumstances, we do kind of put on our tinfoil hats a little bit. And no matter what your opinions are or what you think, just take it with a grain of salt, because one of my favorite things to do with Chris is just to start getting crazy and talk about different conspiracies, whether we believe them or not. It's just fun to be like, oh, maybe aliens did it. Oh yeah. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this talk with my really amazing, awesome, talented friend, Chris Griffith. Here we go. Oh.
Oh, you can see that?
Yeah. Oh, what's up, Chris?
Oh, it's got my clock in there too. Oh well.
So this is Chris. I've known you. How long have we known each other now? Like almost 15 years, maybe more than that.
Oh, probably longer than that. A couple decades.
Yep. Running up and down the road, causing all kinds of rock and roll mayhem.
Stomping. Lots of stomping.
Stomping the stomping grounds. That's right. Well,
Stomped all over In-N-Out.
Yep, Del Taco.
Stomped all over Whiskey A Go-Go's stage.
Yeah, the world famous Whiskey A Go-Go.
Oh, Whiskey A Go-Go.
I was thinking about that not too long ago, how like that stage is supposed to be so famous. I'm like, we had no business playing there when we played there. And then so many bands that play there have no business playing there. So it's just crazy how rock and roll works now.
All that pay-to-play BS,
Yeah, which I don't think we paid to play, but...
Oh, I'm pretty sure we did. We at least paid for gas.
Well, yeah.
To LA.
That's true. So how's the quarantine life treating you these days?
Oh, you can see I got my suit on and I'm well protected here in my time-space ship away from everybody else.
Oh, it looks like something's hurling down at you in your time spaceship behind you, so I'm a little worried about you.
Oh, yeah, that's just the clock on my cell phone. Don't worry about that.
Oh, no, I don't think I can see that. I mean
Oh,
I mean the giant nebula hurling down at you.
okay. Yeah. No, that's out the window there. You can see the nebula B minor Ursula back there.
Yeah. I always got to have a good view, as you can see.
Yeah, where are you? Like Norway or what?
It's an undisclosed location. I can't give that out.
Okay.
So what's
Yeah.
new? What's new in the rock and roll world? I imagine this quarantine stuff has taken a toll on your gigging.
Oh yeah. Musicians like me, we're pretty much out of work right now. I mean, we can pretty much sit at home and write music, and that's about as far as it goes. I've been meeting up with some bandmates, but not really doing much else. I mean, we got no shows, no pay, no recording sessions, just sitting on our butts thinking of poetry.
Where do your bandmates fall on the spectrum of, stay inside or I'll be okay, I'm fine? Like,
Most of us, we're pretty much down to go outside and hang out and play music and stuff, but we got one guy in the band who's he's got an autoimmune disorder, so he's a little nervous about doing the whole meeting up, and he's taking the social distancing, lock yourself in thing pretty seriously. So that's the bass player, and as you know, you can't play music without the bass player. Even if the bass player has to stand outside the building because he forgot his ID, you got to have a bass player.
that something from that popped up on my Facebook. Remember when? I was like, holy crap!
Yeah,
A while ago.
that happened. Good thing we had a long cable.
That was actually.
But yeah, it's not been much, man. Not been much in the music world. I'm actually releasing all my original music live on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff on 420. And I'm going to send out some CDs in the mail too, but that's pretty much it, man.
Wow. What made you choose that date?
Funny enough, I was actually trying to launch on April 1st and submit. There's 20 songs. It's a double CD with 20 songs on it. And the idea was to have all the songs released starting April 1st all the way up until April 20th, have a song release every day. But my distributor botched up our artist profile. So the original release plan got pushed from April 1st, and I figured, hey, since all the music's going to be live as of the 20th anyways, might as well just release on the 20th. So light yourself up a fat bowl and listen to some stoner rock. Thundercloud, check it out.
So you recently, well, I guess not recently now, but you moved up to Eureka, and not too long after that, you found yourself in some musical projects. What's the scene like up there as opposed to down here in the LA or the Orange County area, specifically Orange County, because that was our stomping grounds?
Well, there's a lot of Grateful Dead people up here. So there's like 4 or 5 different Grateful Dead cover bands, and they play all around town. But with the Grateful Dead demographic comes a certain that demographic has a much more diverse appreciation for music than what I've seen down south, to say the least. Orange County, there's a lot of punk rock and there was a lot of hardcore and stuff, and now you're starting to see a lot of unique stuff come out of there. But up here in Humboldt, I mean, there's a much more venerated appreciation for live music up here than there was down south. When there's live music here, people will stop in and they'll watch, and they'll take in the scene, and they'll have a drink and watch you play. And even if they don't know you, if they're just passing by, whatever, just because that's kind of something that's huge up here is live music. Art and music all around in Humboldt County is very widely appreciated. So music definitely has a very strong role in that. But down south, it's like you could play, and wasn't that big of a deal for a lot of people. So it's a little bit different in that way.
Yeah, I could see that from just when I went to go visit you. When we'd go out somewhere, it's like people just kind of appreciated being out, and I'm sure after all this stuff blows over, that's going to be increased even more. So I bet you're probably looking at a really fun gigging time after this blows over. I mean, I hope so anyways, because I'm getting sick of this social distancing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to be back on the road again, and hopefully our tour will be on for the end of the summer. But that was going to happen anyways. All the music that has been lost is unfortunate, and it's pretty much lost along with a big portion of the economy. And that's just what we're dealing with these days, with the social distancing and the kind of government mandated closure of non-essential businesses. And yeah, it's a different world than I remember. I remember thinking and hearing from my parents, back in our day, we had a lot more freedom to, do what we wanted to do. And, we felt like we had it pretty restricted growing up. But now, I mean, my gosh, the fact that they're able to pull this off and force everybody to close their businesses and default on their loans, and I mean, it's
almost like it was on purpose.
Wild. Yeah, it's surprising to me how many people are going along with it too. I mean, I would expect a little bit more social dissent and social disobedience during something like this than we're seeing. I mean, everybody's complying, and a lot of people are being hurt from the sort of panic approach that we've taken to this thing. And yeah, I'm not sure all this was the right move on, the leadership's part, but what can we do?
Well, I do want to touch on some of that in a little bit, because I know you and I have a long history of getting into the crazy theories of what's going on. But before we do that, I feel like that's a good note to go into a song. If you have anything that you want to play right now, something that comes to mind, or it doesn't have to do it with anything, but let's have a little music break. I'm going to mute myself and then I'll come back on.
All right. Well, why don't you say something while I tune? Because I was going to play a different song, but I think I'm going to play a song that relates to what I was just talking about. In that case, I need to D2.
All right. Well, this is the tuning song. You can hear it at any gig, especially bar gigs. This is a favorite among, your Thunderclouds or your Glammeltoes, or your, I don't know what Andy's new band is called, or a Blues Problem. I think that's Tim's band. Ow, I just kicked my computer.
I'm not sure. Andy. Oh yeah, Andy's in like a cover band right now, I think.
Something with like more metal or something.
Yeah.
I lost track. I'll have to catch back up with him. Yeah, he'd be a good person to have on here. He'd probably destroy his computer. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet he'll set up his laptop in his drum studio, and then I won't hear anything he says because he'll just be playing. I'm actually kind of down.
Josh, you want to hear a drum solo?
3 hours later, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
This song is called. What is this song? Oh, it's called "Standing Rock." I originally wrote this for a guy named Andrew Colleen, who was arrested in a subway for playing music. And I wrote the song for him, and then an issue happened in Standing Rock, somewhere, North Dakota or South Dakota, somewhere around there, where basically the oil companies were laying down big pipelines on Indian tribal land, and the tribes were not okay with it, but they did it anyway, and the protesters pretty much got slammed by law enforcement. So I called the song Standing Rock, but it's essentially about the surveillance state and kind of what this country was and where it's landed these days.
country where everyone was free. We had the right to silence, we had the right to speech, but now all that is gone. You better watch what you say. It's surveillance every corner, police on every street. Life ain't what it used to be when we met peacefully. Held up our signs, raised our voice to the powers that be. Oh, we used to be free, but we gave it up for TV. Oh, we used to be free, but we gave it up for guitars and rip up all your signs. Your peaceful protest is met with violent minds of those who control you. They'll never set you free. They tell you go to church on Sunday and work all day till 5, 'cause if you're out there singing songs, you're bound to get 5 to life for loitering or being high, or any charge that you can find. Oh, we used to be free, but we gave it up for TV. Oh, we used to be free, but we gave it up for na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na. We gave it up for TV. I said we used to be free, but we gave it up for TV. Well, I don't have any children, but someday I might, and I hope that they will listen and that they will do exactly what their heart tells them they should do. Because if you only listen to what they tell you to, then you'll have no room for growth and no higher point of view. You'll never get to sing from any place you choose. Oh, we used to be free, but we gave it up for TV. Oh, we used to be free, but we gave it up for TV. Oh, we used to be free, but we gave it up for TV. Oh, we used to be free, but we gave it up for
There you go.
Fuck yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, as you can imagine, this being the first official broadcast, there are some hiccups we have to work through. You you were peeking all over the place. So what I think I'm going to do is just cut to one of your videos and then bring it back to the conversation. But maybe I can fix it in post, but if not, oh well. Welcome to show business.
Yeah.
Well.
Geez, I'm peeking the microphone out, and all I've got is an acoustic guitar in my voice, huh?
Well,
come on, Apple. I thought you made these things better.
Now since Steve Jobs died.
Yeah, true.
Well, okay, so this whole COVID stuff, how much of it do you think is some government foolery, or is that tinfoil hat talk? Is it a little mix of both? Because, I mean, I feel like I'm watching the news sometimes, and then when I look into stuff, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know about that. And then, yeah, I don't know.
Well, first of all, whatever the news is telling you, you can bet your bottom dollar that they're not giving you the full story. Some of the story might be accurate, some of it might not be, but it's definitely not the full story. If it's not that hard to take a step back from all this, plant your feet on the moon for 1 second and look at Earth and be like, okay, what's going on right now? This crazy stuff is happening. You got the news blowing up this, this pandemic, and not a whole lot else being talked about. Ooh, look at that change of scenery. All right, we're on the moon, folks.
Take a look at Earth.
All right. So here's Earth, right?
Right.
And you've got America going through one of the biggest booms, economic booms in a long time after the housing market crash in the 2008, 2009 era. And you've got everybody wheeling and dealing. The economy's good. It's strong. It's going.
Yeah.
And you have this trade war going on with China that has been going on for some time. But over the years, as intellectual property rights are becoming more prevalent, and intellectual property is being stolen, it's being abused by other countries like China. I mean, I don't mean to point any fingers here, but come on, China, you know who you are.
Come on, China, you know who you are.
They've been copying DVDs and selling them on the Chinese market for years for 50 cents a DVD. I mean, my grandpa has a collection, probably the size of half of a room, of counterfeit DVDs that he bought in China while he was there. So then this has been happening for a long time. Since the age of computers and the easy replication of intellectual property in the digital age, the issue of protecting your intellectual property has become a lot more prevalent because it's so much easier to steal it. And so fast forward to 2019, this has been a problem for some time, and there's a trade war agreement being signed. The first phase of the trade war agreement was actually being signed at the end of 2019. I think it was in December 2019 or maybe January. Or maybe, yeah, it was around then. And that sort of marked what we had all kind of hoped would be the end of, the beginning of the end of this trade war. Maybe China's going to respect our intellectual property moving forward, whatever those hopes and dreams were. I do believe that the trade war is directly related to what's going on with the pandemic. It seems like it's very coincidental that this thing pops up in China, and it pops up right when the trade war is sort of being, wrapped up, agreed upon, phase one signed. And to look at those two things happening, all the news and all the attention gets shifted away from the trade war, and now it's shifted to this thing. And you have to wonder, this major thing was happening, and it was completely just blasted by this new thing that's happening. And any talk of a trade war agreement is history as far as we're concerned, because we're so busy dealing with this pandemic. It seems odd that this is all happening at the same time. I believe China's been playing games with the U.S. Treasuries because they are one of the biggest holders of U.S. Treasuries. And I think the Treasuries, if you've seen the yield on the Treasuries, they've just been plummeting the last couple of years, I think, for a while now. And, to think all this is not connected, I think might be a little naive. I don't know that for sure, obviously, but I'm purely speculative right now. But I do believe that all this is sort of related to the upper powers that be, sort of doing a bit of a power struggle, because information is power, and in this day of information technology, where you can steal that power, that's become the new front line of these types of power struggles. So I think it's related. The biggest issue I have with the COVID-19 thing is that they've sort of, our feds have basically panicked. Our leadership basically has panicked and has started printing money like crazy and trying to backstop every economic leak that's caused by an economic recession that's directly caused by our panicked response to this pandemic. A lot of people were saying, this seems so small compared to the flu, and there's some merit to that, and there's some merit to the other side of the equation, where this is supposedly a deadly disease. But because we know so little about it, we actually don't know the mortality rate of this thing. And there's some studies coming out right now that is suggesting the mortality rate of this thing is closer to that of the flu. Yeah. Because the people that aren't showing symptoms don't get tested for the virus and don't know they have it. And, in some of these isolated tests they're doing, they're finding that 15% of the population had this thing. And
I'm convinced I had it like earlier in the year. When I hear what the symptoms are, I'm like, wow, that's exactly how I felt in like November. And then luckily I got through it. Yeah, I've heard those studies where it's like, well, if people aren't showing symptoms but they have it, then those numbers aren't going to be reflected in what's being reported. So yeah. What is being reported is painting this in a way that makes it look so scary. And not to take anything away from people who are affected by it, but if we really had all the information, I don't think we'd be all locked down like the way we are.
I don't think so either. If the mortality rate comes out at what the flu's mortality rate is, people are going to be looking at the decisions that we and our leadership have made, and just it's kind of stupid. It really is. I mean, like you said, if that is the case, to lock us all up and basically just destroy the economy and to destroy people's livelihoods and to put everybody in unstable panic mode, that to me did not seem like a wise, thought out response to this pandemic.
Well, I mean, I guess that depends on what perspective you're looking at it from, because if you're looking at it from the government's perspective, I feel like it's very smart, and not to get all tinfoil hat, but I mean, this is my show, so fuck it. Like the scariest thing for me isn't the virus itself or any of the economic turmoil caused by the lockdown. It's the fact that the government and the media literally just controlled the whole country and basically the world by fear. And that is such a slippery slope, because once they can do that with this, they can do it with anything. And I feel like so many people, maybe that's not on their radar, or they're just, too trusting. But yeah, maybe, we're going to be fine, because this is a dry run. This is a rehearsal. Like, now they know they can do it. So, this time around it's a virus, and it sounds crazy, but it's not going to, really be that crazy in the future when they start saying, oh, the aliens are coming, or this is happening, or China's going to nuke us. And that's not going to be the case. And we're going to, lock our doors and board up our windows because the screen told us to. And that's really scary to me.
Yeah, I 100% agree that, that's what I was talking about earlier. There's been pretty much no social dissent to this thing, and there's a lot of, I feel like a lot more people are being affected negatively by our response to the virus than who are actually being affected by the virus. Yeah, and so many people are just going along with it and just doing what they're told. And I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's good for us as a people and as a nation to be just doing whatever our TV screen tells us to. Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
Oh well, yeah, this got pretty dark pretty fast, but that's how it goes. You feeling like a song, or what you feeling like?
Yeah, maybe we can bring it up a little bit. I can play a happy song.
Yeah, let's play a happy song, and then we'll get into some.
Up at the stars at night, and you tell someone you'll be by their side, when you wanna run a mile just to feel alive, and you stop worrying just to ask yourself why, oh why? Have you ever sang a song just to see what it's like? Or embraced your lover to feel satisfied? Well, maybe you should try it sometime, and you just might find the best things in life are free. So divine, sunny days and living, sunny days and living. When you taste the rain as it falls from the sky, and stop to smell a rose before you pass it by, when you feel the breeze blowing through your hair, as you stroll along the beach without a single care. Have you ever sang a song just to see what it's like? Or embraced your lover to feel satisfied? Well, maybe you should try it sometime, and you just might find the best things in life are free, so divine. Fighting to refine the way I spend my precious time, living for the day and not just another dime. Well, some people try and some people die, but these sunny days are worth the fight. All else aside, I'll ride alive these waves of life with just one tide. days and living, sunny 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 days and living, yeah, sunny days and living, sunny days and living, sunny days and living, sunny days and living, oh, sunny days and living, yes, sunny days and living, sunny days and living, sunny days and living, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah. So, whenever I do like stuff like this, I don't know if you get this a lot, but people like kind of ask me why. Like, why do you like to make videos? Why did you turn your work staff room into a studio? For me, one of the biggest reasons is that I like when younger people see the stuff I do and then they try to do something like it too. You know, whether it brings me success or not, I don't know, that brings me some kind of joy that like some kid was like, oh, that's cool that you make a vlog, and then they start making a vlog or whatever it is. So what would you say to anyone, because I mean, I know you and I have been through this multiple times, anyone who wants to get into playing the guitar or starting a band, like, but they just don't know where to start because it can seem kind of, it's like, well, what the hell do I do?
Well, the first thing I would say is just do it. If you want to play guitar, I mean, the first thing you're going to need to do is get a guitar. So that would be step one. If you want to make videos, you're going to need a camera. So, you know, step one is deciding that you are going to do it. You know, you kind of know yourself. Most people know themselves well enough to know if they want to do something, they know if they're actually going to do it or not. And that's where the real decision is made is, you know, I can say I want to do this. I wanted to do this for a long time, but am I actually going to do it and just step up to the plate and make it happen? And, you know, that would be the first step, is to actually decide to do it and to really decide in a way that, you know, you're not deciding and then the next day you're like, oh yeah, that was a neat thought, but you know, I'm never going to get to that. If you're going to do it, just do it. And the next step, you know, go out and get what you need to make it happen and just start doing it. You know, Google and YouTube are obviously two of the easiest, biggest aggregators of education and information, and you can find pretty much anything you need on YouTube and Google. So, you know, that would be the starting place, I think, of anybody trying to do anything at this point that, you know, might advance their skills or learn a new skill or whatever. That's what I say.
One thing that I learned from you early on that I didn't really start applying in my own creative process until I saw it work so well, you know, through you and bands and stuff, was, you know, the process of making plans and step by step by step by step. And sometimes you don't make that step, but then you make this step or whatever it is. So I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, I mean, I think you're talking about writing down your goals, and you know, that's not something I used to give a lot of stock, but now every day, my morning routine consists of me writing down with a pen and paper. Not even a computer. Josh, I do everything on a computer. But I do this one thing with a real pen and paper.
I feel
because,
yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I do believe there is a power behind actually putting your goals and your dreams and your thoughts into words where you can see them. And, you know, you're setting yourself up for success if you start that way. Whereas if you don't write it down, there's nothing there to remind you and nothing there to be physical proof that you have this dream or vision or goal. So yeah, I mean, that would be a great piece of advice from you, Josh, is setting out a plan. And, you know, if you're trying to learn guitar, you know, you might say, okay, I want to learn how to play a song in, you know, 1 month. I want to be able to play my first song. And, you know, that song could be Mary Had a Little Lamb, or it could be, you know, Johann Sebastian Bach, you know, whatever. But, you know, set a goal, and if you put it in paper and put the action into making it happen, I mean, you will get to that goal. So, yeah, for sure.
I do think the pen and paper is, there's definitely something to it that has been somewhat lost with our technology. I mean, you know, because I've told you that I've been on stage, well, before the shutdown, I've been getting on stage doing stand-up. And when I'm getting ready for it, I'll physically write down a lot of my jokes. And then when I go up there and say it, a lot of the times it's not even how I wrote it down, but the process of slowing myself to write it down, it helps me memorize it, helps me feel it, see where the mistakes are, you know, go and fix it. And I've done the same thing where I tried to type stuff, and it wasn't as strong as just physically writing it. So there are people out there watching, write your shit down.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't, you know, keep a virtual notepad on your computer and do it that way. I think that probably works too. But I think you might be right in the fact that it definitely, because it's a slower process. It might have some more power in the fact that it's like being in a lower gear when you're writing something down. You're going slower, but you got a little bit more power behind it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I'm not discrediting any process, because I've got notes on my phone, I've got note cards, I've got notepads. It's just, I don't know, whatever works. Just, you know, get going.
You're looking pretty tan there, dude. You been outside?
I've been hiking a little bit. So that's like really the only thing to do during this shutdown. And even then, some popular trails, the trailheads are shut down. So I've been going out like into the Angeles National Forest, just parking somewhere and just going. Nice.
Yeah. I guess outdoor activities is still permitted.
I mean, sort of. I was actually on a trail. This is kind of my bad because it's a pretty busy trail. I was like, I've never hiked the Hollywood sign. So I found one of the Hollywood sign trails, and I was on it. Luckily, I was done, and coming back down to the trailhead, cops and rangers showed up, and they like got on a horn and they kicked everyone out. They're like, "This is for your own safety." I'm like, I was like, I mean, they didn't really hassle me or anything because they saw I was done. I was leaving, but yeah. And actually, last night I was sitting in a parking lot that's like near where I live, and sometimes like overflow parking goes into this parking lot. And I'm just sitting out there chilling, and the security guard of that parking lot comes by, and I thought he was going to hassle me. And I'm like, oh, I live over there. I just got back. He's like, no, I was going to tell you that the sheriff is out driving around looking for people who aren't wearing masks.
What?
And, yeah. And this is like at 1 a.m. I was like, oh, thanks, dude. I have my mask. It's in here. He's like, yeah, no problem. I was like, really? That's what we're going to bust people who aren't wearing their mask and then give them tickets?
What in the world? I don't even own a mask.
I mean, me neither. God. I just use these bandanas, but I guess that's good enough.
I mean, stay away from people and don't cough on people. That's really good enough. I want to say, anybody who's watching this in the future, we're living in a time right now where our government has told us that we have to stay inside. We can't work. We can't go outside to do things for fun. If that is still going on while you're watching this in the future, you need to take your fracking country back, because this is not okay.
America.
Seriously, I mean, sure, they can blame this right now on the pandemic and get away with it, but if this becomes the new norm, we've got serious problems that will require some serious solutions.
The new normal. I hate that phrase so much. The new normal. Like, shut up. Yeah, like
Yeah, this better not be the new normal. I mean, just the fact that the government thinks they can get away with all the stuff they're doing, to me, is just.
but
I
hey,
mean,
but
to have that kind of
this is for our
control
own
over people's
safety.
lives. Oh yeah, yeah. They spy on you for your own safety too.
Well, they got to make sure China's not watching.
They got to spy on you so that they can make sure China's not spying on you.
How else are they going to know, Chris? How else are they going to know?
Well, it's insane. I mean, this is really, the modern warfare is information technology, and we're in a war right now. I mean, we are in a real war that according to some people, some conspiracy theorists maybe, this trade war has become a biological war. Maybe not, maybe so, but regardless, I mean, the steps and the levels of control and power that are being applied right now by governments is unprecedented. I mean, maybe not unprecedented since like the Roman ages or something, but I mean, yeah, it's pretty wild. So if you're watching this in the future and it's still like this, y'all need to fix something.
Yeah, and I think it is important to call out the BS, because that, like, in the future, whatever version of this ends up in a history book, it's not going to reflect like how like you and I are feeling right now. It's just going to be like, and then they close businesses for 2 months. It's like, that's it. And then, okay, next thing.
Yeah, well, the victors write the history, and there are going to be victors at the end of this thing. I mean, the rich are going to get richer. The governments are going to have more power. These are trends that have been kind of trending, and this is a huge leap in those trends. Surveillance is getting more widespread. So, yeah, it's I'd like to see a little bit more people speaking out against the increase in government control and power, rather than calling the police on their neighbors for going outside to play basketball or something. But that's not happening. Yeah, it's a little scary. What country is this? This doesn't look like America to me, brother.
This ain't the America I signed up for.
My boy on YouTube that races cop cars for a living, he got to shut down his racetrack because the government told him he can't be racing no cop cars right now. Well, I'll tell you what, that is unconstitutional, brother.
You show me where it says in the Constitution that I can't race my cop cars.
Yeah, right, brother. I think one of the actual American rights is the right to work. So if that's the case, and don't quote me on that, I'm not a historian, I don't know that for sure, but I've heard that somewhere. And if that's the case, our administration is directly violating the Constitution right now, because they are not allowing people to run their businesses and to work. I
mean, would that fall under the pursuit of happiness, or however they word it? Because that is the Constitution.
Look it up on Google, but I'm pretty sure that it's literally written down somewhere that the right of a man to work and earn bread is part of the written literal Constitution.
You know what they'll say? They'll be like, well, we're not stopping you from getting an essential job.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry that you're a bartender or a yoga instructor, but oh well.
Well, no, they're not doing that. They're telling people, don't worry, guys, we'll take care of you. Here's a stimulus check. Here's a payroll protection program. Don't worry, your government's got you. But stay at home. Don't go outside. Don't go have fun. Don't run your business. Don't work and pay your bills. Don't do any of that. You're not allowed. But we'll take care of you. It's okay. That's kind of what's happening right now.
I feel like the stimulus thing is kind of sketchy, and everyone's like, "Ooh, yay, stimulus!" This isn't confirmed, but I saw somewhere that they were saying, well, it's not like a grant; it's an advance, and it's going to get taken out of your taxes in future years. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like that would make sense. And if not, it's just going to cause more inflation, wouldn't it? It's like.
You're really onto something. Yeah, I don't think they're going to take it out of people's taxes or something, but in the short term, what it does is it calms everybody down, and it you tell somebody you're going to give them $1,000, and most people that are living paycheck to paycheck, that's enough to keep them calm, so they don't socially dissent against not being able to work. That's kind of how I see it, because a lot of households, are not going to get this. If you're making over, I think 75 or 100,000 or something, you're not going to get this. So those people, if their businesses are shut down because the government's not allowing them to function, they're not going to get a check. It's a strange situation. I don't think it's going to get taxed, but what they are doing is they're printing a shit ton of money right now. And inflation would be one side effect of that, but there's a lot of other side effects of just printing a boatload of money and shipping it out to every household and living close to the poverty line. It's a panic move, and it's kind of putting a Band-Aid on, what's the metaphor, putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg or something.
Yeah.
It's just, but it is going to distract people, and people are going to be, oh, where's my check? Where's my $1,200? Yay, I'm going to get $1,200. Instead of kind of wondering, why is my government not allowing me to go to work when the facts about this virus aren't even in yet? So yeah, it's a little strange. Very strange, the stimulus check. A lot of people are excited for the stimulus check, but that money's coming from somewhere, and it's coming from thin air at this point.
Yeah.
So value is going to be taken somewhere to provide for that money printing out of thin air kind of stuff. Ask any economist, they'll tell you.
Well, I don't know if, this is a good move or not a good move, but my instinct just told me not to touch that money. So I'm not taking it, I'll figure it out. But I feel like people who do take that money are just going to be that much more, I don't know, vulnerable to, Big Brother or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just ridiculousness, but
I don't think it is ridiculousness. I think, the don't bite the hand that feeds you saying is, when the government hands you $1,200 and says, here you go, do with it what you like. That's a nice way of the government really trying to get on your side and get cozy with you and your finances. It really is. And, again, I don't think there hasn't been any talk of any kind of, they're not going to take that money back. They're not going to do anything like that. They can't at this point because the legislation has already passed. But to try and make everybody rely on the federal government and the Treasury like that, that's a little scary. I mean, we shouldn't be relying on our government to pay our bills. We should be relying on ourselves and our own minds and our own power and our own work ethic to be paying our bills, not relying on the government.
What are we, communist?
Well, based on what's happening right now, is leaning very, very, very more towards a communist side than any kind of capitalist side, or I should say socialist instead of capitalist side. Because, in a capitalist economy, we wouldn't have government shutting down our businesses, and that's a socialist government move.
You know what it kind of resembles? It resembles how the Chinese economy has been going, where it has some capitalism in it, but it's all government approved businesses that can be open. And right now, those would be the essential businesses.
Yeah.
So congrats for China.
You better believe China is a socialist state. I mean, they are 100% a socialist state. And, I think a lot of people would agree with me at this point that at this point our country has now become a socialist state too. I mean, in 2008, 2009, when the government started stepping in and bailing out companies that, by the way, they're having to bail out again. Some of these companies, this is the second time this has happened. And you got to ask yourself, is it really wise to be bailing out a company that can't survive every single, economic downturn? Doesn't sound like a very good company. And it sounds like a company that needs to be replaced by a stronger, better company to me.
Yeah.
But,
well, that's part of what I feel like that's part of why they're trying to throw the money to the people, because, I think the biggest, one of the biggest critiques of the bailouts the last time around was like, why don't you bail out the people? And now they're like, hey, we're going to bail out the people. And also all these companies who actually get way more money than you. Also, so does Congress. Also, so does the Senate. No big deal.
Yup.
And
yeah, it's
like that's one of the reasons that it took a little bit was because the Democrats slid in there. Hey, we're going to get our money too. And it actually increased the total amount of money that's going out, which is going to cause more inflation and cause more problems in the long run. But whatever, Trump is so evil. Fuck Trump, right? Not that I like Trump, but I feel like everyone's just trying so hard to go at him that they're missing what's going on like right in front of their eyes. Like, yeah, he's a doofus, but like all this energy at like trying to get him with these questions, and it's like then right under the radar, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to give this money to the Senate and to Congress and to all these politicians, but fuck Trump, right?
Yeah. The other side of the story here is, Trump is, I mean, I don't really want to talk about Trump, and, Trump is just a face for, a side of the government that basically the media is able to use Trump's face to put a name to the blame. The real power in Congress lies with the House and the Senate and the judges and the lobbyists and the big companies, the big corporations that pay for the lobbying. That's where really the true power lies in all that. And in 2008, 2009, when the government bailed out the corporations, that was kind of the corporations were definitely, they were obviously in on that because, it wouldn't happen if they weren't. But ultimately, the government actually turned a profit from those bailouts. Over the next 10 years is basically, the economic recovery, if you want to call it that. Some people call it the reinflation of the bubble, which, there's some evidence to support that. But the government, they actually ended up buying assets. And that's part of what made them a socialist government, is that whole era where they were buying up assets and they were taking ownership in public and private companies. And, in this case where the government is printing tons and tons of money, it's similar to what happened back then. And we didn't see massive inflation when the government put out, I think, $800 billion in bailouts, and there wasn't really that much inflation. So, the question is, they're pumping like 4.3 trillion into the economy now, which is a lot more than 800 billion. And the big question is there going to be inflation? The government's buying a lot of assets right now, and I also believe there's a lot of foreign asset purchases going right now. A lot of assets are being sold for ridiculously low prices, and these entities, whether they're foreign or they're federal government entities or whatever, whoever's buying these assets right now, they're going to come out way on top. And if the feds are in on it, then the federal government will make a lot of money bailing out these companies, reinflating the economy, and essentially seeing appreciation on all the assets they bought in recession pricing. So, ultimately it's all a game. And when you're the country that can print as much money as you want, and you don't have any kind of accountability to another foreign body, and you're not tied to gold or any kind of standard, you can do this kind of stuff and you can get away with it. So I'm willing to guess in a year or so, when this is all over and the economy is back up and running and whatever, I don't think there's going to be a lot of financial pain in the upper echelons of government and in the upper echelons of, the classes, the upper middle class and upper class. I think what we're going to see at the end of this is going to be a reduction in our rights, increased government power, and increased government balance sheets too, really. And that, they increase their balance sheets. That's going to allow them to increase their power even more too. So, it's continuing the trend here of a government basically getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And ultimately now we're socialist in a way, not fully, but in a way we are socialist, where the government has so much regulation over the economy and the business in the country. I don't know what we're going to see. It's going to be interesting. But right now, it's all kind of panic move, and we don't have enough information about the virus to really be making any good decisions. So that's what it is.
Well, pending that the aliens don't come down for us anytime soon, we should have an end to social distancing, by the end of the month to the middle of next month, or, June by the latest. What do you see for, society, for gigs, for, just people going out? Like, what's it going to look like? Do you think people are going to, just kind of be normal and give their friends hugs and stuff? Or is there going to still kind of be some kind of social distance just kind of by instinct? Or what do you see going on?
Well, first of all, we don't know if this is going to be over by June. I sure hope so. But some people are saying 18 months. That's a year and a half. And if that's the case, we need to rethink our strategy. But let's say it does end in June, which would be great. I don't think it's going to just end. I think there's going to be a slow rollout of people going back to work. I think they're going to allow people. The logical thing to do would be to allow people who have already had the virus and have already healed from it to go back to work because they're basically immune. Then to let the people that are young, don't have respiratory problems or pre-existing conditions, let them go back to work and prime the economic pump, so to speak. And then I think they're going to slowly roll this thing out, and as they do it, I think things will return sort of to normal, but I don't think they're ever going to be normal again, because we've seen something unprecedented. We've seen the government take a pandemic, which has happened before. I mean, this is not the first time there's been a pandemic by any stretch of the imagination, but this is the first time that the pandemic has caused mass hysteria, basically, and mass government control over everybody's day-to-day activities and mass government financial support of individuals and small businesses. That's not going to go away anytime soon. If this kind of thing happens again, this event will be the playbook the politicians and the regulators go to. They're going to say, okay, well, back in 2020 when COVID-19 hit, this is what we did. So, it's going to set the rules, and, the rules were not very well thought out. So, I think I've said it before in this conversation, we're going to see an increase in government power. We're going to see a decrease in personal rights and freedoms. And, that changes a country. It changes the day-to-day activity of everybody. Everybody's a little bit more, everybody's going to feel like they're a little bit more watched. They're going to feel like they're a little bit less stable. And they're going to feel like Big Daddy government is going to take care of them if anything happens. So I guess in a way, a lot of people and businesses will feel enabled, or not enabled. What's the term?
Entitled?
Reliant on the government to help them through any future,
Which
economic
I find that
crisis.
scary too.
You find it what?
Yeah, and that's something I find really scary as well, is, if the majority of people are like, no, they got us. Like, the forefathers would disagree, but okay.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be normal. I think, unfortunately, we're going to, this brave new world we're living in, is the lasting effects this is going to have are probably going to be, negative ones coming from a personal rights and freedom advocate, basically. I see a lot more restriction and reduction in freedom. So that's the last thing. I don't think anybody's, as far as giving their friends hugs, I think we're all going to be back to normal. People are going to be hanging out. The people are going to be back at work. They're going to be back to paying their bills, living the grind, to paycheck. People are going to be living paycheck to paycheck again. And that $1,200 they got in a stimulus check is going to go straight to their landlord. And I don't think anything's going to change on that front. Socially, though, there's a lot of people out there that felt like the noose has been tightening around our free country for a while. And I feel like those people might start becoming more vocal and connected than ever before as the government starts tightening the noose. So that might be a change socially. But other than that, I really don't think there's going to be a whole lot else. I think a lot of people are fairly short-term thinkers. And when this is done, they're going to go back to, trying to live their life and get back to the daily routine and, feel comfortable and stable again as much as they can anyway after this. That's my guess anyway.
Well, I mean, not exactly.
Not exactly peaches and cream, am I?
No, I mean, this is a great upper for our first episode, but but I mean, this stuff has been weighing on me. I know this stuff doesn't get past you very easily, so I was really excited to, kind of hear your thoughts on everything. Because I mean, dude, this used to be like a Saturday night for us, just smoking away and talking about how the world is messed up. I'm glad we could do it a little bit remotely. But I never believe everything is all doom and gloom. I do think there's hope out there always, as long as there's people to carry that hope. So what would you say to any rebel souls who are out there, just like not digging what's happening, but they feel like, I don't know, they don't know what to do about it? Any advice from the powerful CJ Hazard?
Powerful. Yeah. These days it's hard to feel powerful with what's going on. I would say don't listen to your TV. That would be my first advice.
Amen.
Look at the numbers and let the numbers and logic and common sense help you determine what you think is your best decision moving forward. The TV doesn't know what's best for you. The politicians aren't going to do what's best for you. Your stimulus check provider is not going to make the decisions for you as far as how you're going to provide for yourself financially. So make your own decisions, be your own person, and look at the numbers and don't listen to your TV. Don't take the news for face value. I think that's a good start.
Amen, brother. So before we get out of here, I know you have lots of projects always going on. You want to plug anything? If there are people watching, where can they find what you're working on, that kind of stuff?
Well, I got a new CD coming out on April 20th. I think I mentioned that earlier, but check out thundercloud.band for our EPK. It's a little video that kind of shows what the band is about. It gives a couple sample clips of the music. And on Spotify, Apple Music, and on April 20th, you'll be able to stream 20 of our songs that we recorded live in our recording space before this all went down. And it's pretty heavy rock and roll, kind of heavy metal, but based on the blues. I'd like to say think like Led Zeppelin meets Black Sabbath meets Audioslave, kind of. And it's fun music if you're looking for something a little bit more organic and less scripted. A lot of it's improvisation, and it's all very wild, and a lot of the songs are over 7 to 10 minutes long, and it's wild stuff. So if you're interested, check it out. And that's pretty much all I got going on right now. Thundercloud.band, and the Instagram is thundercloudband, and thundercloud.band will get you our YouTube page, which will give you all the links to all of our Spotify links and our Apple Music links and all that fun stuff. So yeah, check it out.
All right, everybody go check out all that stuff. That EP is going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. Chris, or CJ as he's known on the streets, is one of the best musicians I know, and I don't mean just personally, I mean like straight up. So go check that out. Thanks, man, for doing this. This is, gonna have its hiccups and its little awkward moments, and there's no one I'd rather share that with than you. So thank you very much. Why don't you close us out with whatever you want to play, and we'll see you out there in the universe, people.
All right. Well, this is a happy song. This song's called Lady Luck, and hopefully she rears her beautiful head soon for the whole world.
Lady Luck, where have you gone? You've left me all alone. Those things I did to you were wrong. Please come back home. Well, things are looking up for me despite the same old plight. You see, I've got good things headed my way. I've got a 5 in my back pocket and a 6 string in my hand, 7 days a week. Ain't that great? A dive boss show for a $5 bill, sang songs of old and new. I got a ticket in the parking lot. Why this happens, I don't clue. But things are looking up for me despite the same old plight. You see, I got good things headed my way. I've got a 5 in my back pocket and a 6 string in my hand, 7 days a week. Ain't that great? Hey! There's only 2 things in life I want. I wish upon a star to hold you in my arms again, and this here old guitar. Where have you gone? You've left me all alone. Those things I did to you were wrong. Please come back home. Hey! 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 Lady Luck, welcome home. Take me by the hand. I will treat you right this time, and life will be just grand.
There you go. Good luck.
All right. Thanks, dude. Good talking to you. I'll talk to you soon, my brother.
Good talking to you too, man. See you later.